Hello. Read it here. Today we're going to read a story from our /Entitle Parents. Now, for our first story, Mother has been stealing money from family members. Hi everyone. I've just found out my mother have been stealing money, Christmas/birthday gifts normally, from my children and my siblings' children, her own damn grandchildren. It has all come to light on Christmas Day when we celebrated at my sister's home. After leaving, she messaged a family group chat to ask if anyone had seen the envelopes that she has hidden in her room. These envelopes had cash gifts inside that were given by various family members to my nieces, ages 8 and 13. Upon returning home, I checked through my own kids' gifts in case someone picked it up by accident in all the excitement and mess. Turns out there's money missing from my daughter's own envelope as well, which had been stored in my purse during all the fun for safekeeping. I mentioned to my sister I was also missing money given to my daughter as a present. She said she would let me know if anyone says anything. Turns out our mother confessed to her the next day, saying she stole the money. In total, close to $300 had been stolen from her 3 granddaughters. She was confronted and she gave the excuse that she needed the money for medical reasons. Mind you, we live in a country with free healthcare, so that was a poor excuse. Then she said that she spent her best years raising us as children, and now she has nothing to show for it since we all moved away. I don't even understand that excuse. She still tried to speak to us as if she's done nothing wrong, and she never returned the money despite the requests. I am one of 7 children aged 40 to 25 now. All of us are grown with jobs, our own homes, partners. My father is still living and working still to provide for her, as she has never worked a day in her life. She could have asked any of us adults for help if she needed it, but she felt entitled to the Christmas gifts given to her own grandchildren. I'm just disgusted and disappointed, Reddit. I didn't think I'd ever have a situation where I would have something to post. Thanks for letting me rant. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holidays. Update. Thank you for all the advice, my friends. To update you all, some extra stuff has come to light where my mother has taken money from others in the family and even visitors in my brother's home. These incidents have happened over the last few years. We sat Dad down and let him know about what had happened. He immediately paid back the stolen money to the children. He apologized on her behalf, which we said was not what we were after. We want her to apologize. Mother said she needs the money for a breast biopsy. I work in healthcare, and so I asked where she was going and what scans/blood work/investigations were done to this point. She couldn't answer any of the questions. She also told my sister she needed $600 for the biopsy, and she then told our dad that she needs $1,000 for it. This isn't the first time she has been vague with her medical issues with us. Our dad offered to take her to her biopsy, but she declined and said she had organized a lift but did not provide any further details. Going forward, most of my siblings are planning on limiting contact and work with our dad to organize further checks for her. I have brought up the dementia assessment and potential counseling for her to sort through what issues she may have. Ultimately, all of us are disappointed in her choices, and we said we cannot excuse her stealing from our children no matter the reasoning. Wish us luck! Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. You need to get together with everyone in your family and have a talk with your mother. And make sure that she understands that if she does anything like that again, she will not be invited to any more gatherings since she can't be trusted. Comment 2. Tell your father immediately. Explain that you cannot trust her at all. This means no access to your home. Locking your purse up when you do see her and making sure any gifts that come to your children are immediately secured in your locked handbag. Comment 3. OP, please be sure if you have credit reports, etc. to check yours as well as your children's to be sure nothing unexpected appears. I say this because I know a mother who steals cash out of envelopes stored in her daughter's purses/bags that was for her grandchildren is a mere step away from possibly committing identity theft with credit fraud. Comment 4. It wasn't stolen money, but for a year we lived with the ILs. And they opened all our mail because it had their name on it. Yeah, but it had our names in front of their names. They wouldn't stop and didn't feel bad about it either. We got a POB, so our mail no longer came to the house at all. And when they asked where our mail had gone, we told them, solve the issue entirely. Opie needs to figure out how to keep the money from ever appearing near mom. Mail it directly to the parents of the littles or some such. But it doesn't sit unattended anywhere mom has access because she's a thief. which is really and truly sad. Now, for our second story. My 21F parents, 51M and 45F, think I have a duty to uphold their wishes and marry within their set conditions. I have had a long, struggling relationship with my Muslim, moderately religious parents for years. For years ago, I moved out of my house for college, and I finally felt like I've discovered my own identity. 2 years ago, I met my incredible boyfriend, who is a kind, dedicated, hardworking, and responsible individual. Everyone I've ever met talk about how much of a good man he is, and I believe that. I am now about to end my senior year, and I might have to move back home as the rising cost of living is making the advent of moving out after college unattainable. I've since had merry quarrels with my parents about how they treat me like a child and as an extension of themselves, which is genuinely starting to drive me insane. On top of that, my parents have the idea that I am of age and I should be getting married soon. While they are liberal enough to believe that I should choose who I marry, they have set the conditions that I can only marry someone who is our ethnicity, from our home country, and a practicing Muslim by birth, not conversion. Now I am not religious at all, neither is my boyfriend, but he grew up in a Catholic family. I do see a future with him, and it's frustrating that despite being an incredible person who any parents would be happy to have as a son-in-law, his arbitrary birth identity prevents us from being together. I tried to have a discussion with my parents about how they see me as an extension of themselves, which got us into the conversation of obligation versus duty. My father said that he has no obligation to financially or physically take care of me since I am above 18. Yet as someone who loves me, he has a duty to take care of me as a father. He explained because he loves me, he chooses to continue to support me. In turn, because I love my parents, I also have somewhat of a duty to uphold their wishes as a sign of gratitude for the love they have shown me in turn. This explanation was so bizarre to me, it's making love sound transactional. He said that if I were to marry someone of a different religion, he technically could no longer consider me family, since religiously, I would be separated from them. But he also said as a father, he would be deeply hurt as it would seem like a betrayal. This is so unfair. To love someone, to get married, and to have a new family is one of the biggest decisions one person can make. I find it so ridiculous that I have a supposed duty to make one of the most important decisions of my life based on what my parents think is my duty. Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. This. OP's father is batshit crazy if he thinks he has a right to manipulate OP into spending the next 70 years living according to his batshit crazy plans. I've lived with roommates at times, and it was fine. It really was a great solution. If OP goes home, she'll be sucked into her parents' reality. They'll argue a lot and end up damaging their relationship, perhaps permanently. OP should send them an email or a letter so she can be heard without being interrupted. OP should tell them all her hopes, dreams, and plans for her future. Her future. Tell them she's staying in the city where her boyfriend is, getting a roommate, a job, and a brand new shiny life that's all hers. Comment 2. Never agree to anything that would make you miserable for the rest of your life. You can be grateful of support without accepting conditions that impact you forever. If it were me, I'd thank them for the support thus far and explain your need for independence and happiness. Apartments can be affordable. Find roommates. Work right away to support yourself. Even if it is not an ideal job, you are at a point where you need to be careful of what you are agreeing/getting guilt into. It's time for an escape plan. Good luck. Comment 3. Go back home and let them pay your bills, and you will immediately return to a dependent status. It would mean giving up all of the freedom you have acquired over the last years. Freedom that is the sweat equity of working your rear end off in college. Think about that while looking into your future. From where I sit, what your dad is doing is emotional blackmail. I tend to tell those sort of people what they can do with themselves, and they never like it, but I am free of their BS. You have a hard choice to make, and I have no words of wisdom as what you should do, other than choose the option that makes you the least miserable. Stay strong. Comment 4. As a parent, I owe my kids unconditional love and support. They do not owe me anything in exchange. Certainly when they're minors, I can give them rules and responsibilities. That's a basic part of parenting, but I chose to have kids. The obligation is solely on my end, Of course, I want a lifelong relationship with my kids, but I realize that for my kids to want that too, I have to make sure we have a healthy relationship, that they feel supported, that I'm not overstepping when they're grown or placing unrealistic expectations on them, that when they're adults, I'm respecting their choices and their boundaries. They are separate people, not extensions of me or my husband. Find a roommate, find a job, assert your independence. Hopefully your dad will come around eventually, but you can't live your life for him. It's your life. Now, for our third story. Am I wrong to be annoyed that my dad expects me to pay for everything? Iguis, new here, 30F. I'm a child of immigrants' parents, and my father, 65M, moved to the States earlier this year. Mom and I, been working to help land him a job, and in the meantime, he is staying at my mom's friend's place. They were separated before I was born, but has been in my life in some shape or another over the years. Because he wasn't working much, I've been helping with rent. I don't pay the full amount. Mind you, I'm a PhD student and make less than $40K a year, live in another state and pay rent. I've been constantly feeling like I'm always paying for things or having to coddle him, and it's like he's not taking initiative. I don't know if it's just me being selfish. For example, he didn't have the funds to pay rent 1 month, but never told me until I asked. Days pass when it's due, mind you. He often doesn't respond to my messages when I ask him questions, so I never know what he even needs. He doesn't want to call places he's applied to get a better leg up on getting an interview. He doesn't want to do any practice interviews to prepare. I guess I'm just annoyed. He also suffers from undiagnosed GAD. Now, a close family member of his passed away, and I feel like I'm going to have to pay the flight. And I'm like, I can't pay for rent and a flight. Update. I feel like the cultural expectation is to help with whatever you can because they have it worse than you, and it makes me feel like I'm being selfish for being annoyed. A Redditor made a good point that I signed the I-864 affidavit during the immigration process that states that most family-based immigrants and some employment-based immigrants use this form to show they have adequate means of financial support and are not likely to rely on the U.S. government for financial support. Yet still, I feel like I need him to step up more. Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. Cultural expectations are a two-way street. If you were supposed to live at home until you finish school, and then get a place of your own, and then your parents eventually retire and move in with you to help raise their grandkids as their contribution to the household. Well, looks like your dad isn't living up to his part. Your dad is a grown man who made his own decisions in life. You are a grown adult who makes your own decisions in life. You can't control your father, but you can control your own actions. If you continue to enable his crappy behavior, that's on you. Be annoyed all you want. You made this your problem, so deal with it or stay annoyed. I don't have a moral high ground here. I did exactly what you did before going no contact with my mom. You are not wrong for being annoyed, but only you can stop yourself from being annoyed. Cough up the money or don't. Your choice. Comment 2. You're not wrong about being upset about it, but you are doing yourself a disservice by enabling his behavior. It might be a good idea to budget how much you will give him, and only give it to him if he tells you that he needs it. With you covering his bills, there's no need for him to get a job. It's okay to let him struggle. He'll find his feet when he puts them back on the ground. Comment 3. He will continue living off your money until you learn to say one simple sentence and stick by it. The sentence is no. You could follow it up by telling him he has been relying on you since he got here, and you barely make enough money to support yourself, let alone another healthy, capable adult. Tell him it is time to take some initiative and get himself a job. Comment 4. You need to have a conversation that says, I cannot afford to pay your rent. Get a job or go back home. I cannot afford to pay for flights for you to go to a funeral. Find another way to pay for it or don't go. As long as you keep sending money, he will keep taking it. You need to stop. If he is arriving in the USA at 65 years old with zero funds, then he will be expecting you to fund him for the rest of his life. You need to let him know that this will not be happening. Now, for our fourth story. I'm 21 and still treated like a child at home. How do I set boundaries with my mom? I'm turning 22 this year. I've always been the obedient daughter. I've always worked hard to exceed my mom's expectations and avoided doing anything that would upset her. I have 2 younger sisters, and I chose to stay home and look after them instead of focusing on my own career goals because I wanted to help her. But now I'm tired. I want to have a life of my own. I want to experience new things. Recently, someone asked me out. He came to our house, met my mom, and even spent Christmas with us, with her approval. But after that, she told me she was disappointed in me. She said I had no respect because I was spending time in the same room where he was staying. For context, I wasn't sleeping there. I went in with the door open. Unfortunately, we just moved, and we don't have a couch or chairs in the living room yet. It wasn't anything inappropriate, but it became a huge issue. She told me she was disappointed, even though she always says she wants me to enjoy my life. But what does she mean by that? In her mind, having a boyfriend automatically means I'll end up pregnant, just like what happened to her when she was younger. I understand her concerns, but it's too much. She once told me she doesn't want me to move out because she still needs me. I get that, and I want to help her too. But it feels like she wants to control every part of my life. She gets upset if I don't share my location with her. I'm not allowed to go out at night. She just wants me to stay home, do chores, and take care of my sisters. It's suffocating. I don't know what to do. I want to stand up for myself, but I don't know where to start. I have a full-time job, and I don't want to leave her or move out. I love my family, and I want to be with them. But I can't keep living like this, without the freedom to make my own decisions or even experience a relationship. I want to talk to her, but I'm scared. I've never argued with her or talked back, and I don't know how to approach this conversation. I feel stuck. How do I set boundaries without hurting her? Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. I'm a 38-year-old man, but when I was in my mid-20s, my mother suddenly started infantilizing me like crazy. She kept trying to act like I was a kid again, and it drove me nuts. She even compared me to small children, and she developed a kissing obsession. I can't stand kissing, and she kept trying to force it on me. Things got even more creepy, but I'm not going to get into that here. Just know that it didn't seem to stop till I turned 30. It was then that my mother finally seemed to mentally understand time would not go backwards. Comment 2. As someone whose parent hobbled them, it's a type of abuse where they make you dependent on them. Start making plans now to have a life, because if you leave it up to her, you'll be living with her till you're 40 and at her beck and call. There is a whole world out there for you to explore and experience. You don't owe your mother. You've been a good daughter, but you deserve a life too. She may not want what happened to her to happen to you, and that is understandable, but you're an adult, and you have to live your life. Comment 3. I don't want to sound too desperate, but without moving out, you are going to have a very rough, long time. Do you understand that the situation you have been living in since you left high school, even before that maybe, is the norm for your mother? Yes, it is hard on you, but it is perfect fine for her. Every single thing you're going to argue against, she's going to take it as a personal attack, a grave betrayal. I mean, just look at her reaction of you spending some time alone with a man. Now imagine when it's going to be for bigger changes like going out at night or actually doing things with that man. And it's going to be like that for every single thing you will try to push back. I am sorry, but to me the only way to gain your independence with the least resistance possible is to move out, and that opportunity to stop her tracking of your whereabouts. And I say that because it is what I had to do when I was 18. Yes, she is going to push against it, but what can she really do? You are adult. You make your own money. As long as you live under her roof, she can retaliate as much as she wants. When you are out of here, not so much, yeah. The only thing I see that she could do would be alienation of your sisters against you. And that's why you need to make them understand the situation beforehand. Tell them how she'll probably try to manipulate them, but make it really clear that you will be always there for them. And that if you cannot see them anymore, it's her fault, not yours. Comment 4. The longer you stay at home looking after your siblings, the more difficult it will become to enter the real world when they're fully grown and also want to leave home. You won't be able to explain that gap in your education/work history adequately enough. You are stagnating. Your 20s are the ideal time to find out what you want to be, not what your mother wants you to be, which sounds like you're being set up to be her emotional support animal and helpmeet. She's trained you to be a doormat. Look up resources on how to become assertive, free courses on people management, etc. Even unaccredited free courses through open learning websites will be more useful than what you're doing now, which is bending to your mother's will and falling for her manipulation. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more.